mo fẹ́ máa wò, ọ̀rọ̀ tó jẹ tí ń gbèsè mo fẹ́ gbọ́, ètò lóríṣiríṣi wọ́n wà lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan, ìròyìn tó kojú òṣùwọ̀n àtàwọn ọ̀rọ̀ àgbọ́ fi kọ́gbọ́n, eré wọlé fún tẹ̀rù tọmọ tèwe tàgbà ẹ má fi para. AGI TV mo fẹ́ máa wò, ọ̀rọ̀ tó jẹ tí ń gbèsè mo fẹ́ gbọ́, ètò lóríṣiríṣi wọ́n wà lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan, ìròyìn tó kojú òṣùwọ̀n àtàwọn ọ̀rọ̀ àgbọ́ fi kọ́gbọ́n, eré wọlé fún tẹ̀rù tọmọ tèwe tàgbà ẹ má fi para. Àjànàkú kọjá mo rí nǹkan fèrè, bàbá rere káwí parí. AGI TV, we are the pace setter. Bàbá gbàgede ìmọ̀ tẹlifíṣọ̀n station tí dòde.
Mo kí gbogbo ojú tó ń wò mí káàkiri ayé, mo kí wa lọ́kùnrin lóbìnrin lọ́mọdé lágbà nínú ilé yìí, mo kí wa wípé a kú dédé àsìkò yìí o, ẹni ò tó dùn bí tó àdúpẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run. Ẹ káàbọ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí sórí ètò ọ̀rọ̀ tó ń lọ, ẹ̀kejì rèé lónìí lórí ìkànnì BGI TV, bàbá gbàgede ìmọ̀ tẹlifíṣọ̀n. Ó yẹ wá nǹkan fìdílé tàbí kẹ́ fìdílé nǹkan kẹjẹ́ àjọ rìnrìn àjò pápápá tá a fẹ́ rìn lónìí. Ohun tí mo bá wá lónìí mi ò mọ bí mo ṣe lè bẹ̀rẹ̀, torí pé arákùnrin kan Báyọ̀ Ọ̀nànúgà, bàbá yìí jẹ́ kan nínú àwọn tí wọ́n wà níjọba pẹ̀lú pírẹsidẹ́ǹtì wa Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu. Àwọn gangan ni wọ́n jẹ́ special adviser on information and strategy to the president, Mr. Báyọ̀ Ọ̀nànúgà. Láìpẹ́ yìí ni wọ́n interview wọn, tí mi bá ṣì bóyá lánàá, wọ́n interview wọn lórí program kan ní Arise. Mo wá gbọ́ tí wọ́n sọ pé wọ́n ní the president Bola Tinubu-led administration has stated that Nigeria is a very, very poor country, to be honest, and our wealth is overestimated. Bàbá yẹn sọ pé Nàìjíríà tá à ń wò yìí o, wọ́n ní tán bá wá ibi tí baálé ìṣẹ́ wà, wọ́n ní Nàìjíríà ni. Wọ́n ní Nigeria is a very, very poor country. Wọ́n ní ọrọ̀ wa wọ́n náà overestimate ẹ̀ ni, pé olówó ni wá, wọ́n fojú olówó wò wá, ṣùgbọ́n a poor. Ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn rún mi nínú gbà tí mo gbọ́. Lágbára Ọlọ́run fídíò interview yẹn a gbé wá, mi ò lè sọ lè jẹ́ Sunday, ṣùgbọ́n a máa gbé fídíò yẹn wá. Mi lè sọ gbà tá a máa gbé wá, ṣùgbọ́n a máa gbé wá. A fẹ́ gba àṣẹ náà ká tó gbé wá ni. Kẹ́yìn náà gbọ́ interview yẹn bí wá ṣe rí lára yín. Now, bàbá yìí sọ̀rọ̀ ilẹ̀kùn, kódà débi wípé àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ tí wọ́n ń pariwo báwọn ò rí owó oṣù àwọn gbà tí wọ́n jẹ́ federal civil servant, wọ́n ní tó fà á ni pé pọ́tà táwọn máa fi sanwó ní problem ló fà á. Bàbá Femi Falana wá jáde níbi annual remembrance lecture tí wọ́n máa ń ṣe fún bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́ra Sam Kuti, the former minister for health. Bàbá Falana sọ̀rọ̀ ńbẹ̀ ilẹ̀kùn. Àwọn náà grant yìí channels ní interview kan. Gbogbo ẹ̀ṣẹ́ rí ẹ jókòó kẹ́ ẹ wo program ti ìrọ̀lẹ́ ta gbé wáyìí. Pẹ́pẹ́yẹ fẹ́ pọnmọ lọ́sàn-án yìí àbí nírọ̀lẹ́ yìí, ó bá sì jà lẹ́lẹ̀ yín wò, pẹ́pẹ́yẹ fẹ́ pọnmọ. Torí pé àwọn nǹkan kan wà tó ṣókùnkùn sáwà aráàlú, tá à ń jìyà ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ tá a ṣẹ̀. Sincerely speaking, kò yẹ kí Nàìjíríà ká máa pariwo ebi rárá, kò yẹ kí bí tiẹ̀ kàn wá rárá. Ní pọ́lísì tí bàbá Tinubu ṣe yìí, kò yẹ kí ebi kàn wá rárá, ìyẹn tó bá jẹ́ pá ní àwọn olórí tó dáa. Kò yẹ kí ebi máa pa wá Nàìjíríà. Kódà àsìkò yìí ló yẹ ká fẹ̀yìntì báyìí ká jẹun tán ká máa fi toothpick tayín ní Nàìjíríà, ní condition tá a wà sìn, ní bí owó ṣe ń wọlé sìn, ní bí owó yẹn ṣe rí sìn. Ó yẹ torí pé wọ́n ṣèfún tó ń jẹ́ owó nígbà tí wọ́n yọ subsidy, ṣùgbọ́n mismanagement lówó yẹn bá lọ. I will tell you why I said this, and to correct that Honorable Bayo Ononuga, sir, Nigeria is never poor, and I will prove it to us now that Nigeria is never poor. Àwọn tí mo fẹ́ máa sọ yìí káwa náà dá lẹ́mìí ara wa tó bá jẹ́ lóòótọ́ ní Nàìjíríà poor, àbí àwọn olóṣèlú ni wọ́n yọ ọ̀bẹ tí Nàìjíríà ni wọ́n ń pín, ni wọ́n wá fìyà jẹ àwa tá a jẹ́ mẹ̀kúnnù. The funniest part ni pé àwa la máa ń dìbò fún wọn débẹ̀, àwa ni wọ́n máa wá bá ká dìbò fáwọn. Bàbá wa dìbò fún wọn tán, wọ́n wá di ọkọ sí wa nígbà, wọ́n á di ọ̀gá wa, wọ́n á bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní máa pàṣẹ oníkùmọ̀lé wa lórí, wọ́n á fi ẹ̀tọ́ wa, wọ́n á fi dùn wa. So yẹ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n ka ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn láti fi bẹ̀rẹ̀. Wọ́n ní the special adviser on information and strategy to the president, Mr. Bayo Ononuga, stated this on Monday when he appeared on Arise News TV program. Meanwhile, some workers in different federal establishments across the country had lamented the delay in the payment of their January salary. Àwọn federal civil servants kò tí gba January salary, February tí ń lọ sópin. Describing the actions of the government as insensitive considering the current economic situation in the country. However, Ononuga also denied the claim. He explained that there was a challenge with the platform being used to disburse the salary. Ló fà táwọn òṣìṣẹ́ òfin rówó gbà. Ononuga described Nigeria as a very, very poor country. Very méjì, kì í ṣe very ẹyọ kan. Very, very poor country, given its low per capita income compared to African nations. He said, the office of the Accountant General of the Federation has said there is a challenge with the platform being used to disburse the salary. According to a briefing I got this morning, quote, I'm quoting Bayo Ononuga now, yes, salary were delayed, but all federal workers have been paid, he stated. Nigeria is a very, very poor country. Odelekeji, to be honest, I think our wealth is overestimated. I think we have a poor estimation of wealth of the country. We are a very poor country. He still reiterated again. The president's aide asserted that with the removal of subsidies on petrol and the unification of the exchange rate, the administration is hoping that the pressure on our finances will reduce. Now, sir, I want to little bit prove it to us that we are never poor. But ìkà táwọn olóṣèlú ṣe fún àwa ọmọ ìlú ló fà á tí security fi rule, tí a fi poor, tí ò fi sóúnjẹ nílùú, pàápàá jùlọ àwa Yorùbá. Pàápàá jùlọ àwa Yorùbá, ṣe ra àwọn northerners, wọ́n ṣe dáadáa fúnra wọn o. Máa proof ẹ̀ fún wa. Níbi last year, mo fi àwọn videos kan hàn wá níbi tó jẹ́ pé governor Kaduna State Bitimi Bashi, ìkan náà northern governors yẹn, wọ́n kó oúnjẹ fún àwọn èèyàn wọn débi pé ó tún ṣètò wheelbarrow fún àwọn èèyàn wọn tí wọ́n máa fi tí ó jẹ́ gbogbo wá rí fídíò yẹn. But we saw nothing in Yoruba land. Yeah. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n bọ́ọ̀sì tiwa ní kankan. Owó wọlé gidi tààrà nígbà subsidy nígbà tó yọ subsidy. Nigeria rí bastard money wọlé. Mo gbọ́ from a reliable source ni Made Jawa sí. We saw money. Tó bá sọ pé owó ló ṣe yà mí lẹ́nu nígbà tí mo wo fídíò yẹn tí Báyọ̀ Ọ̀nànúgà yẹn sọ pé Nigeria is very very poor. We are never poor. We are very 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 rich. We are even richer than America. Gbogbo ẹnu mi sọ. Ẹ jẹ́ ń já wa sí níbẹ̀rẹ̀. Kí Buhari tó kúrò ńbẹ̀ ní April, mo dìdí kọ́lẹ̀ ni. Ní April, owó tí gbogbo wọn pín pátá àti federal àti state owó tí wọ́n pín was 675 billion. Nígbà tí Buhari fẹ́ kúrò ní April, nítorí pé wọ́n sanwó subsidy, wọ́n ti yọ subsidy, the highest tí wọ́n ever pín nígbà yẹn 675 billion. President mi wọlé ní May, nígbà tó máa fi di June, torí pé wọ́n ti yọ subsidy, Nigeria ti ní bastard money. Nígbà tó máa fi di June, a ti ní bastard money, a ti ní trillion. Wọ́n ti pa 1.9 trillion naira. Wọ́n wò pé ṣé owó rẹ̀? And the government was magnanimous enough to share 1 trillion naira among both federal and state. And I will tell you, èló ni government fún. Oh God. Wọ́n share 1 trillion láàrin federal àti state. 36 states, ẹja ní 37 states pẹ̀lú federal capital. Government náà àdẹ́gbà ti federal. Èló lẹ́rù kó máa kan state kọ̀ọ̀kan. Out of 1 trillion. Gbogbo owó tí wọ́n pín ní April was 675 billion. But wọ́n rí 1.9 trillion láàrin oṣù kan tí wọ́n fi yọ subsidy. And you say Nigeria is poor. Wọ́n wá wò pé ẹ jẹ́ ká save 900 billion. Wọ́n wá pín 1 trillion. Before kan tó pín owó yẹn allocation, federal government ti kọ́kọ́ fún gbogbo state kọ̀ọ̀kan. Ẹgbọ́n tí mo fẹ́ sọ o, federal government ti fún gbogbo state kọ̀ọ̀kan ní 135 billion naira kí wọ́n fi fight COVID-19 tó ti kú ní 2020. Federal government ti fún state kọ̀ọ̀kan ní 135 billion naira. Kì í ṣe federal allocation o. Pé owó ta fún yín yìí o, ẹ̀ ń gbowó ti wà. Windfall. A fún yín lówó yìí, ẹ lọ fi fight COVID-19 tó ti lọ láti 2020. Wọ́n fáwọn state. Kẹ́ lè mọ̀ pé kò sí reason tá lè máa fi kékiri pé yà ń jẹ wá, ebi ń pa wá. Tá a bá láwọn tó nífẹ̀ẹ́ wa tí wọ́n rúlu wa. Ó ní mo ṣe sọ lánàá wípé àwa tá ń pa akọ wa nílé àkàn pariwo pé bí ń pa wá, ebi ń pa wá, jáde síta lọ báwọn ẹni pé bí ń pa wá. They don't care, they don't know, they were not informed. Government fún wọn ní 135 billion kó fi fight COVID-19. Nígbà tó tún di June yẹn, same June, oṣù kan tí government wọ́n ṣàwọlé ní May, April ló wà láàrin June àti May. Government bá tún pè wọ́n federal allocation, wọ́n pé 1 billion, state kọ̀ọ̀kan wọ́n gba tiwọn. Now nígbà tó di December, ṣé ń bá mi fi inú ro owó yẹn lọ ṣá. Wọ́n gbà tí mò ń sọ yìí ní April. Wọ́n ṣe ń gbà lóṣooṣù nìyẹn o. ṣùgbọ́n ètò tún wà lámì jù nígbà tó tún di December tán lọ kí president nílé December tó lọ yìí wọ́n pín 1.7 trillion naira. Ẹni sọ fún mi máa gbé wá ẹ máa rí fídíò ni mo lọ ti gbọ́ yẹn bàbá Gbàgede ẹni sọ́ọ̀rì ẹ̀sùn ẹ̀sìn kóòtù. And I know never, the man will never say what he does not know because he's a son. Ó mọ̀ tó mọ̀ ẹ̀, ó súnmọ́ government, ó mọ̀ gbogbo ẹ̀. Ní December yìí, wọ́n sì pín 1.7 trillion. Gbogbo àwọn owó tí wọ́n wá ń gbà yìí, kàn fi túlù ṣe. Yàtọ̀ fún èyí tí wọ́n fún wọn 12.5 billion pé kàn fi túlù ṣe, kàn fi tún títì ṣe, kàn fi ṣe security o. Yàtọ̀ fún security vote tó máa ń gbà security allowance o, gbogbo àwọn yẹn ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ làwọn yẹn o. Àìlè federal allocation 1.7 trillion ni wọ́n tún pín tí ò ṣẹlẹ̀ rí. Bílíọ̀nù pín tẹ́lẹ̀, trillion wá pín sí 1.7 trillion. Why are we suffering? Kí ló dé tá ń jìyà? Ṣé báwọn ọmọ ìlú tán torí ẹ̀ gbowó rè kí náà fi ṣe o, kí lẹ rí nílùú? Tell me any developmental project tó wà ní state pàápàá jùlọ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Nothing. Gbogbo àwọn figures tí mo kà yìí tàwọn governors lẹ gbọ́ yẹn now go to National Assembly. Gbàrà tí wọ́n wọlé they allocated a vehicle that worth 160 million síra wọn. Gbogbo wa pariwo àfiṣoṣù àfipára wọ́n tún fún wọn 40 million owó maintenance mọ́tò yẹn ó jẹ́ 200 million tán fún ẹnìkọ̀ọ̀kan tó jẹ́ mọ́tò ẹnìkọ̀ọ̀kan ordinary motor. Why Nigerians are there wallowing in poverty? Ṣebí National Assembly mọ́tò lẹ́gbọ́ nígbà tó di pé wọ́n ṣe budget, the first budget ní ìjọba yìí budget yìí àtàlò lọ yìí wọ́n budget 178 billion fún National Assembly. Nígbà tí budget dé ọ̀dọ̀ National Assembly pad the budget to the tune of 344 billion. But National Assembly budget was 178 billion. But torí pé wọ́n hate àwọn aráàlú, wọ́n nífẹ̀ẹ́ ara wọn, wọ́n increase budget ara wọn from 178 billion to 344 billion naira. And we are there shouting, rice ti hàn, kíní kan ti hàn. The funniest part is that day in day out ni federal government release oúnjẹ fún gbogbo àwọn state governors. Ask them níbo làwọn oúnjẹ yẹn wà. Abẹ́yìn rí gbà létí yín ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń wò mí tẹ́ wà Nàìjíríà tẹ́ẹ̀dẹ̀ gbélẹ̀ Yorùbá ṣe rí gbà. Nígbà ayé COVID-19 Buhari release oúnjẹ o wọ́n lọ kọ́ store ni tí wọ́n kó oúnjẹ yẹn sí. They did the same thing this time around also. Gbogbo wọn lọ kọ́ store tí wọ́n kó oúnjẹ tó tọ́ sẹ́mi àti yín sí àwọn apariwo rice ti hàn eré kan tí wọ́n máa hàn. Nígbà tá ti fa àwọn tó like ìwàṣọ lórí wọ́n ti fẹ́ kan sọ fún wa tẹ́lẹ̀ pé ẹ̀yin mẹ̀kúnnù àwọn tí kó yín sápò ẹ̀ máa jìyà kú ni. That is where we are now. Àwọn tí mo kà yìí you shall hear it from the horse's mouth láìpẹ́ yìí. So kẹ́ lè mọ bí tí source ẹ̀sà poor. Nǹkan tí Honourable Bayo Onanuga sọ yẹn mo kó sí wọn lẹ́nu padà. Nigeria is never poor. Àwọn owó tó ń pín trillion tó ń pín yìí ṣé poor country kan pínrú trillion bẹ́ẹ̀? Can they share short trillion ní Benin Republic and you say Nigeria is poor? Can they share trillions like that in Benin Republic? Ṣé ní Niger ṣọ́ ń pínrú ẹ̀? Ṣé Chad wọ́n pínrú ẹ̀? Àwọn countries tamọ̀ African country are they sharing such money? Yet tẹ́ bá dé country ẹlòmíì ẹ máa rò pé ti dá America ni. Àwọn tó lọ Nations Cup Côte d'Ivoire wọ́n ròyìn bí Côte d'Ivoire ṣe rí fún wa gbà kan dé. Ẹnìkan gbébẹ̀ tó pè mí pé kí ni tẹ́ bá dé bíbẹ̀ máa gbàgbé pé wà l'Amẹ́ríkà. Oh yeah. Yet we are not secured. Wọ́n lè lo inú owó yẹn fi ṣe security. Trillions. Ẹni wa máa pín 1.7 trillion èlò lẹ́rù kan pa, èlò lẹ́rù kan rí wọlé. Àwa mẹ̀kúnnù la jìyẹ o. Àwa la ń repo àdínétọ̀ 600 plus o. Tó gbé kúrò ní 100, tó gbé sí 600. Windfall tó wá wọlé lórí ẹ̀, òun náà pín tẹ̀ rí ẹ̀. Wọ́n dẹ̀ fi yẹ ẹ̀jẹ̀ wa. Ní títí tó dáa. Omi emergency tí ẹ ni wọ́n declare lórí omi. Ǹjẹ́ olè ti rẹ́rọ mu gbẹ̀yìn? Gbogbo ilẹ̀ Yorùbá mi rò pẹ́rọ wà lù kan. Oníkálukú ń kọ́lé ń kọ́ bọ́ ń ṣe bọ́ òsì tàbí kó gbẹ́ kànga. Àtọ̀sẹ́rọ mímu mọ́ Nàìjíríà. Kẹ́ lè mọ ibi tó dáa dé. Then we are not entitled to good motorable road. Gbogbo àwọn títì wa kòtò wọ́n ti ẹ̀ ṣe kankan sí wọ́n ń bá wa dí wọ́n máa dí kòtò yẹn. Àtọ̀ sí títì tuntun mọ́ àwọn títì tó ti expire wọ́n máa wá bá wa dí wọ́n máa fi òkúta dí. Gbogbo owó wa tó ń gbà yẹn wà lákàǹtì wọn. That is what we are facing now. Ẹ ti ríbi tọ́rọ̀ ti wọ́ wá tá a ti ń pariwo poverty. N tó ṣalága gbogbo wàhálà tó wà lẹ́yìn ó ní subsidy o tán yọ lọ́yọ̀ o bẹ̀tí ń gbà tán yọ kí náà fi ṣe ibi tán pín sílẹ̀ ń gbọ́ yìí. Bàbá Falana ẹ sà ẹ wá já mi rọ tí n bá parọ́ ẹ bá ń play Bàbá Falana.
Mr. President, and you must ask for explanation on this. In December 7, this regime, Bola Tinubu administration, gave out 135 billion naira to governors to fight COVID-19 in 2023. Do you know what I'm talking about? Last December, they gave out 123 billion to not 135. You can go to fight COVID-19. Furthermore, and this must be our demand from here. This regime must. And if we have to go to the street, it's so fundamental. This regime must, comrade, must.
Yes.
Warehouse the gains of the removal of fuel subsidy and channel it towards alleviating the poverty of our people. What I mean is this. Again, you can Google. In April last year, what the three tiers of government, the federal government, the state government, and local government shared was 655 billion naira in April. When subsidy was removed, right? First subsidy. Since June, according to the Minister of Finance, you can Google, there is no month that less than 1 trillion has been shared. As a matter of fact, you can quote me on this. In June last year, what they shared was 1.9 trillion. They were embarrassed when they got to Abuja. Where is this money come from? They had to save 900 billion and shared, and shared 1 trillion in December last year. You know, the governors came to Lagos to celebrate with Governor Bola Tinubu, President Bola Tinubu. Are you aware? Yes. That month, what was shared was 1.7 trillion. That is apart from the 135 billion I just told you about. So if anybody tells you Nigerians must sacrifice because there's no money, tell them what they are saying is bamboon. Push it. So what we should be demanding, where are the gains of subsidy removal? Do you understand me? Yeah. When we had a situation like this, a little situation under Abacha, as bad as Abacha was, he set up what we call the PTF. You understand me? Yes, sir. The gains of fuel increase then was kept and used to address infrastructural crisis in the country. So this time around, we are demanding for our right, because what they told us, all of us, subsidy is gone. I mean, they said the gains of subsidy will be used to address the problems of unemployment, of insecurity, of food crisis, and so on and so forth. But today, the people have been forgotten. These National Assembly people who are pretending in the last few days, senators called, the managers of the economy, House of Rep called them, and they addressed the press that we want to help the poor. Let the poor breathe. These ones, please, each of them in Abuja, including those who had no bicycle before they went there, gave themselves a 160 million naira jeep, each of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm going to try and challenge to you, comrades. The budget of National Assembly this year was 178 billion naira. The National Assembly members themselves rewrote the budget and raised it to 344 billion. And they pretend, that we have to suffer together. We understand your pain. We are addressing your problems.
Liars.
It is a lie. Unless you demand for your rights, nobody will give you your rights.
Yeah.
I think Falana made the point.
Yes.
Eh?
Yes, sir.
Nobody, human rights is not my property. Nobody can dash me. So we must end this memorial with a commitment to mobilize our people, to demand for their rights.
Èmi kọ́ mo sọ gbogbo ohun tí mo sọ o, àwọn ayé ló sọ, bàbá Falana ló sọ gbogbo ohun tí mo sọ. Ẹ ti gbọ́ báyìí from horse's mouth. Gbogbo táwọn náà sọ yẹn directly from Wálé Ẹ̀dùn. Wọ́n nìyẹn sọ pé there is no 1 month táwọn pín less than 1 trillion allocation for each state and federal and local government. No 1 month tí wọ́n pín less than 1 trillion. And we say we are poor. Are we really poor? Never. So we have no business nínú ká máa pariwo ebi dé o no. Anybody bá ń tàn wá ní olóṣèlú pé àwọn ń bá wa jìyà, àwọn ń sọ́fà, irọ́ wọn ọ̀sọ́ Ìlọrin kankan. Wọ́n fi wá ṣe ẹlẹ́yà ni. Wọ́n wá fìyà jẹ wá punish wa ni. Upon all, tó ní jẹ́ àsùn ká fojú lórun Fúlàní ò ní gbà, dẹ̀ ready láti bá wa ṣe nǹkan kan sọ̀rọ̀ wọn. Kẹ́lẹ̀ mọ bí tọ́rọ̀ yẹn ti wọ́ wá. Kódà Sanni Abacha nígbà yìí tiẹ̀ bó ṣe worst tó nígbà tí owó dé báyìí torí pé owó yìí dé windfall dé lórí petrol ó dá PTF sílẹ̀, Petroleum Trust Fund. The same Buhari ló fi ṣe chairman. Buhari kan náà tó kú òun níjọba yìí ló fi ṣe chairman PTF. Adẹ̀rí tútù PTF pa oríṣiríṣi títì oríṣiríṣi kìíní kan ẹ ti máa rí wọn ti kọ́ sí PTF project. Windfall petroleum kí ló dé tíjọba yóò lè kọ̀ títí àwọn náà lè dá nǹkan kan lẹ̀ kí wọ́n máa kó owó tí wọ́n rí instead of subsidy owó tó tọ́ pa yẹn kó máa bá wa kó sí kó máa ná fún wa lùkárí. Omi ò dá, iná ò dá, refinery ò ṣiṣẹ́, NEPA ò sí, kò sí nǹkan kan. Adẹ̀ ń jìyà yẹn dẹ̀ ń wò ẹ́ dẹ̀ ń pín owó yẹn láàrin ara yín. Ẹ pín owó yẹn láàrin ara yín. Kí lẹ̀ṣẹ̀ wa kí ni tá ṣe? Àwọn northerners ní lọ́kìn tí wọn torí àrí tútà wọn. Kódà àwọn northerners lọ ṣe tax force kan sìn lára àwọn governors tí wọn náà a rí ìtàn lọ kọ́ warehouse tán kó gbogbo oúnjẹ tán fún wọn tán kó pamọ́ sí bíi ti COVID-19. wọ́n dẹ̀ lọ yan task force tí wọ́n lọ ń já àwọn store yẹn tí wọ́n rí gbogbo oúnjẹ tí wọ́n ń ṣe síbẹ̀ àwọn yẹn dẹ̀ decide láti pín oúnjẹ yẹn sí ọjà kiri láti fi fọ́ price oúnjẹ mọ́ wọn lọ́wọ́ ní north. tẹ́ ẹ bá gbọ́ pé ní north ń sìn wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ta ráìsì 20,000 ẹ má jẹ́ kó jọ yín lójú o, wọ́n ti ń prepare fún wọ́n ti lọ discover àwọn store tí wọ́n tọ́jú oúnjẹ pamọ́ sí, wọ́n máa kó àwọn oúnjẹ yẹn jáde, wọ́n máa tà ní at subsidized rate. àwọn yẹn á wá fọ́ ọjà máwọn tó lọ́jà lórí tí wọ́n gbówó lé oúnjẹ oríṣiríṣi. bá mi gbé fídíò yẹn sí kẹ́ ẹ wo bó ṣe rí.
jiyar kayayyaki kenan da ke unguwar Dawano inda shugaban hukumar karɓar korafe ta jihar Kano wato Muyi Magaji Rimin Gado ya kawo su mami nan kamar inda masu sauraro za ku iya kallo taliya ce haka aka
àwọn tẹ́ ń wò yìí àwọn bí táwọn gọ́fúnọ̀sì kọ̀ọ̀kan tọ́jú oúnjẹ pa tọ́ ẹnìkan tó tọ́jú oúnjẹ gbogbo olùpamọ́ sílẹ̀ rí yìí o, wọ́n ṣẹ̀ lọ bọ́ọ̀sì. ẹni tẹ́ ẹ bá gbọ́ haúsá ẹ máa gbọ́ tí wọ́n fa haúsá sọ lábẹ́lẹ̀ ń bẹ̀, wọ́n ṣẹ̀ bọ́ọ̀sì stọ̀ yẹn ni o, àìmọye irú ẹ̀ náà ti bọ́ọ̀sì o. nísìnyí tán fẹ́ ṣe ni pé wọ́n fẹ́ ta gbogbo àwọn oúnjẹ yẹn síta láti fi subsidize price of commodities. wọ́n lè wọ ọbẹ̀ kan náà wọ́n fẹ́ gbogbo rice tán bá kó síta bíi 200 trailers wọ́n lè ta 20,000 débi pé ó máa affect tàwọn ní 80,000 ní 70,000. máa play ẹ̀ lọ òun lẹ̀ ń wò yẹn o.
Can you believe this? If you believe this, can you believe this? Nan za ku iya kallo sukari ne haka a ajiye a cikin wannan sto.
No, this is where I will make my statement. Where is the press? This is where I will make the statement.
Asiri yake. Hamisu Rabi ka san shi? Wala Hamisu ba. Shi ne ai. Ranka daɗe. Mu ɗan koma a wurin can saboda light ɗin ya kuma.
Amma kuma nan
hasken anan ma da zai yi amma a nan gurin nan ya dan fa haske ne to kaga muka kai a nan haka sai bakin nan
Nice, okay.
yes ubar da gama waya
Masu waya da Allah kan kusa mai abai. Is the light okay like this? Sorry. Jazuli, can you go live? Live. Okay, yeah. Chairman, what are we having here today?
Well, like you can see, the Federal Public Complaints and Agricultural Commission made through its promise that we are going to embark on fight against holding of essential commodities in the state. And today, because we have started in this following day after we had a press conference.
That was last Thursday.
That was last Thursday. And we have made a significant impact towards, stopping the rise. Because, we have experienced the instant rise in the price of essential commodities. Within a week, rice has jumped from 52,000 to 61,000 within a week. So that is why we swing into action. And alhamdulillah, as from yesterday, from what we are having, and after this, we are going to the market to ascertain what is happening. We were able to stop the instant increase. That is number one. That is the major landmark achievement. Number two, we have believed that if we sustain the tempo, we will be able to bring down the prices, inshallah, within no time. So as you can see now, we have gone around the warehouses. We meet series of issues, which after we go back to the office, we are going to digest it. But one fundamental thing is, virtually each and every store we entered, they will be claiming that it is a World Food Program stores. We wonder if a World Food Program will starve the country while taking the food somewhere else. You can see where I was told here today, within 1 month, the price of maize has jumped from 30,000 to 60,000.
Ohun tẹ́ rí yẹn wọ́n ṣe túmọ̀ Haúsá ẹ̀ fún mi dáadáa ni lára gbogbo àwọn olówó wa àwọn elite wa ni wọ́n kó gbogbo náà wọ́n ra àwọn oúnjẹ ìpamọ́ kúrò nílùú wọ́n fi cause artificial scarcity ó wá cause inflation store tó ní kálukú wọn kọ́ kiri tí wọ́n store ẹ̀ sí láwọn olóṣèlú wa ò lè rí yẹn oríṣiríṣi náà ti discover tẹnìkan ṣoṣo péré lẹ rí owó èmi àti yín ẹ̀tọ́ èmi àti yín ibi tán kó pamọ́ sí nìyẹn wọ́n bá ṣe wá rí páwọn ẹni ìjà store yẹn wọ́n wá ń parọ́ pé World Food Program kan ló ní kó má ra gbá fún World Food Program àwọn ẹni yẹn ti gbẹ́sẹ̀ lé ká nírú àwọn task force yìí náà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá bóyá oúnjẹ ìbá pọ̀ yamuru àlọ́dọ̀ tiwa náà àmọ́ ìgbádùn tí wọ́n ń gbádùn ní north kì í ṣe kékeré ó di governors mélòó la rí ní south wa ń bí tóun náà declare surplus tó fún wa lẹ́nìtìn lẹ́yìn kan máa fi síbí ìmùkọ́ buráìsì fún wa Governor Sulum ní state ẹ̀ ẹ jẹ́ n kà fún wa kárí kẹ́ ẹ wo tún tí ó pa fáwọn ará state ẹ̀ ṣe ráwọn northerners bóyá kí n sọ pé wọ́n bẹ̀rù Ọlọ́run ni o kò yé mi tó fi jẹ́ pé àwa la máa ń fi orí kó níbi báyìí làwa ń pariwo kò sọ jẹ́ kò sí kinní kan o wọ́n bá fi ránṣẹ́ sí wa wọn ní fún wa kí lẹ̀ṣẹ̀ wa kí la ṣe fún wọn ó ní bá mi ṣókí nìyẹn Governor Sulum has shared the sum of 225 million naira as well as 50,000 bags of rice and clothing materials to 70,000 families today in Borno State. Anolele Yoruba show picture yẹn. During the program, before sharing it, he told the people emphatically that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR has increased the state allocation for Borno State from the oil subsidy. Ṣé rí pé Falana ò parọ́? Ṣé rí pé Femi Falana ò parọ́? ṣe rí pé bàbá yìí ò parọ́ ẹ jẹ́ túbẹ̀ yẹn ká o. During the program Sulumu share 225 million fáwọn aráàlú wọ́n select 70,000 families wọ́n dẹ̀ share owó yẹn fún wọn ó tún ṣe wà fún wọn ní 50,000 bags of rice almost báàgì kọ̀ọ̀kan fẹ́ ní kọ̀ọ̀kan. Wọ́n tún wá sọ pé during the program before sharing it, that is before sharing those money and commodities, he told the people emphatically that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR has increased the state allocation of Borno State from the oil subsidy, and that he is making sure that the people of Borno are enjoying the funds coming into the state from the federal government. Hence the reason he, as the governor of Borno State, is doing everything to make sure that the oil subsidy removal pays are not affecting his people, and he promised to continue to inject the funds from the federal government into the economy of Borno State. Ẹni tó gbé news yìí wá béèrè pé my questions are: 1. Is it only Borno State that the federal government increased their monthly allocations? 2. What is your own state governor doing with your own state monthly allocations? Borno State. Àwọn that state in the north àti gbé àìmọye bẹ́ẹ̀ o. Ọkùnrin yẹn sòótọ́ pé àtìgbà tí Tinubu ti wọlé o, ó ti increase gbọ́yé tó ná ṣíà ni. Tó ṣíà last 1.7 trillion. Gọ́fúnà kan dẹ̀ bẹ̀rù Ọlọ́run débi kó wá sọ síta. Èyí tá ń gbà tẹ́lẹ̀ ti yàtọ̀ sí ìsìn o. Owó tí mò ń fún yín owó mi kọ́ o, owó látọ̀dọ̀. So gbogbo àtàkùn Tinubu definitely à ń gbẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ní pàápàá. Máa yẹn ti ránṣẹ́ sí wa, wọ́n jíṣẹ́ ní. Ó rán àwọn governors wá sí wa, ó rán àwọn senators wá sí wa, ó rán àwọn house of rep, wọ́n jíṣẹ́ fún wa ní. Ṣé rí pé kì í ṣẹjọ́ Tinubu? Òun náà dẹ̀ panu mọ́ ń wò wọ́n. I expect him now to call all the state governors. Kó query gbogbo wọn. Why are your people suffering? Why are they still shouting? Ebi pa wá for what? Why should ebi pa wọ́n? What about the allocation I've been giving to you? What about the message I've been sending to you? Through you to them. Did you ever deliver my message to them at all? Àwọn nǹkan tó yẹ kó máa bi wọ́n léèrè rè. We did not see anything. Lẹ́yìn kọ́ fáwọn òṣìṣẹ́ 30,000 extras owó wọn. Ìyẹn nìkan la fetí gbọ́ pé wọ́n sọ 30,000 láyé ìgbà kan dẹ̀rọ wọn sọ́mọ́. Ẹ̀dẹ̀ ń gba trillion l'Abuja. Here we are fighting for poverty, eating, oh God. Àwárẹ̀ o, àárín nǹkankan o. Látorí ebi kan sórí ebi kan ni. Ẹlòmíì ti doníbàárà, ẹlòmíì ti gbé tìjútà, ó ti doníbàárà. Àwọn aráàlú òyìnbó ti ẹ̀rógo. Àwọn yẹn ti ẹ̀rógo ń ti wọn. Àfikún má mọ̀ kó lọ lóyìnbó wọn fẹ́ mọṣẹ́ wo ló ń ṣe wọn fẹ́ mọ̀ bóyá ó wà lọ́wọ́ àfikún sí. Àwọn agbóhùn pè é ni. Bọ́bá dẹ̀kọ̀ tí wọ́n sẹ́ni owó wá sọ wọ́n lẹ́nu ìmí wá ṣògùn sí. Ṣẹ́jọ́ wọn wá ní. Ayé tá ń lóore Nàìjíríà. Kí la ṣe ná, kí lẹ̀ ṣe wa? Ẹ wo warehouse. Bọ́n ṣe rán wọn sí wa náà nìyẹn gba COVID-19. Kí náà ṣe? Owó COVID-19 tó tún ṣẹ̀ wá báyìí. Ẹ̀sà state. Nigeria. Oh God, I'm sorry for this country. Ẹnìkan á jáde wá Nigeria is very poor. Poor for where? We are never poor. Ó sì kù nìbọn ró. Mo fẹ́ end fídíò yìí pẹ̀lú interview. Ṣé rí kékeré lẹ gbọ́ lẹ́nu bàbá Falana yẹn? Ó tún wá tú mi ìpalẹ̀ gan nígbà tí wọ́n interview wọn ní Channels TV. Màá fẹ́ ká tún gbọ́ níta àti ìgbọ̀rí ká gbọ́ lẹ́nu bàbá Falana. Interview wọn rè ní Channels TV. Ìyẹn lè máa fi ṣe lọ.
There has been no month
that the money shared by the three tiers of government had been less than 1 trillion naira. Whereas in April last year, before the removal, the amount shared by FAC was 655 billion naira. In July, the amount shared was meant to be shared was 1.9 trillion naira. But the federal government and the state government, in their wisdom, felt we will keep part of this money. So we'll keep 900 billion naira, while we will share 1 trillion naira. In December, the amount shared was 1.7 trillion naira. So if at the end of the day, the government, the federation, government of the federation, and I'm talking of the three tiers of government, is smiling to the bank or banks with what is between 500 and 1 trillion naira additional funds, members of the public are entitled to the benefit of the removal, because that was the promise. We are removing fuel subsidy so that the money wasted, on importation of fuel will be channeled towards the development of the country, to address infrastructural challenge, to alleviate poverty, and so on and so forth. And what we are simply asking, not from the federal government alone, from the state governments, local governments, where are the benefits of fuel subsidy removal? Simple and straightforward. I'm not concocting figures. These are the figures in the public domain.
But where do we look if to ask for these monies and how it has been spent? Before the removal, if the allocation between 2022 and 2023, if you compare the figures, it seems to there are about 3 trillion naira difference in what accrued or what was shared at FAC, and that those will be asking question, where are these money? Just rightly that you have asked, how do we then be able to ask who of how the money was spent? Who should we be asking? Is it the federal government or the state government or the local government?
So I have made my own point based on figures oozing out of power, for the seat of power. It is now left for the media and Nigerian people to find out where are the gains of fuel subsidy removal. And it's so simple and straightforward. And we are also demanding that on a monthly basis, as was the practice in the past, the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation must publish what goes to every tier of government. That was a culture in the past. At a stage, we were told the government was going to be run in a rather opaque manner. But we are saying there can be no opacity in governance because Section 22 of the Constitution, in fact, has imposed a duty on the media to promote transparency and accountability in the government. So you have a duty. And the media are compelled to demand on a monthly basis what goes to every tier of government. And then we compare what was being earned before fuel subsidy removal and what is paid to the federation account after subsidy removal. You will recall, at a stage, for several months or even for almost a year, the NNPC did not remit any fund, any money to the federation account. But now we are told we're no longer spending on subsidy, subsidizing fuel. Therefore, this is what we are making per month. And so, just like the federal government is saying, we are giving a 35,000 naira to workers, even though we are told now that only 2 months have been paid.
So we also expect state governments, local governments to also announce what we call palliatives. But for me, I think the ideal thing would have been if we are now making between 500 billion naira and 1 trillion naira, can we share 50%? While the remaining 50% will be warehoused by an agency of the government, manned by credible people in the society to address challenges in the area of education, in the area of health, road, network and so on and so forth, so that we can see the advantage, unquote, of subsidy removal. Many of us, some of us, were stridently opposed to the removal because there's no society, there's no country in the world where government does not subsidize one product or the other, even in the most advanced capitalist societies. And that is why Nigerians must now begin to ask the government to discard and jettison the deleterious programs and policies of the IMF and World Bank. Because just yesterday, the IMF was asking the government remove fuel subsidy in its entirety and also increase electricity tariff. Whereas the government had told the nation and the IMF and World Bank, come, the political atmosphere in the country is not conducive to electricity tariff because our people are suffering. The government is subsidizing the discourse. Two, again, just last month, the IMF was accusing the British government of not investing enough in education and health. This same agency, these Bretton Woods institutions are asking our government to remove all subsidies and impose a rush of increases on goods and services in our country. So I think these are the issues. This government must
Mr. Falana, let me,
No, this is very important. The only economic body recognized by the Constitution to advise the president is the National Economic Council, headed by the vice president. And that body is peopled by the governors, the governor of the central bank, state governors, the governor of the central bank, the minister of finance. So why has that body abdicated its responsibility to the IMF and World Bank? So that is the body that the majority of them are elected. Yeah. They are serving the people. So you must advise the president what your people are saying, based on what your people are saying, based on their demands. So that is the body that
are you worried, Mr. Falana? Because some of the feelers that, apart from the fact that the IMF a few days ago was advising the government that it needs to take away every kind of subsidy, even on electricity and the tariffs therein. There are also feelers that the IMF may not even have a total belief in the words of the government of Nigeria in the removal of fuel subsidy, because there are feelers as to the fact that there might be the payment of subsidy on fuel through the back door. Are you worried about that kind of feeling coming from that kind of global entity?
The global entity is not a neutral body. It does not give advice in vacuum. It is an ideological battle. These institutions were set up by imperialism, principally to destroy the economies of developing countries. Why they turn the other eye when Western governments are giving subsidies to their people. And I am challenging the IMF here to take interest in the report of the 2020 report of the Auditor General of the Federation, sent to the National Assembly last November. that report is saying that the $3.5 billion, the loan of $3.5 billion taken by Nigeria from the IMF cannot be located. That is what the report is saying. The IMF should be interested in that, because we are required to pay the loan in 4 years, between 2023 and 2027. So the IMF should be interested in that and stop mounting pressure on the government to multiply the hardship of Nigerians. And the government must summon the courage to tell this institution to mind their business and allow our country to be run in the interest of our country. I mean, in the interest of Nigerians, because the Constitution, Section 16, has provided, has stipulated that the government of Nigeria shall be under a legal obligation to plan the economy of Nigeria, to run the economy of Nigeria, in order to promote happiness, not sadness, as it is the case now. And this wonderful country has enormous human and natural resources. If well husbanded, we should have no business with poverty. These institutions are not helping the government to recover the looted wealth of the country, hidden in the West, hidden in Western banks and other financial institutions. So all they do is to mount pressure on the government. Thou shalt remove subsidies. Otherwise, your economy will collapse. But the economy of the United Kingdom is not collapsing. So the economy of the United States is not collapsing. Germany and the rest of them that are giving subsidies to their people.
I mean, Mr. Falana, from what you've said, when we look at it, the Nigerian economy has defied the projections of the IMF against the projections of the Nigerian government about the growth of the economy. And we've seen some growth in the positive direction at some point, which shows that at some point the accuracy of the IMF projections may not be valid. But let me take you to your battle in the courtroom. You are of the opinion that government should fix the price of essential commodities. And I had the opportunity to speak with economists who have said that Mr. Falana had a social idea, a welfareist idea, a populist idea to go to court to fight this battle, but it may not have a realistic economic implication, or it may not be realistic in the real sense of it. They say that is more or less an academic exercise. Are you worried that that court order may not see the light of day or may not be implemented or be obeyed?
So, I can assure you, after the deadline set by the court, we are going to take steps to enforce the judgment. Some of these guys are apostles of neoliberalism. It is only when it comes to the poor that they suddenly realize that a judgment of a court meant to compel the government to be accountable cannot be obeyed. That's what they do. Some of my colleagues, lawyers, have challenged me. I've challenged the judgment. Oh, we are running a capitalist system. It's a free market system. How can you ask the government to control prices? And I say, oh, by the way, Seun, the Nigerian legal profession is the most regulated in Nigeria. Most regulated. One, I must pay, if I fail to pay my practicing fees by 31st of every year, I can be disallowed from practicing law in any court in Nigeria. Number two, when I want to file papers, I must buy the stamp and seal designed by the Nigerian MBA, by the Nigerian Bar Association. And it must be affixed to every process, even the letters I write in my chamber. Furthermore, I must collect VAT from my client and remit to FRS. 4. The MBA, the government, came out with what they call 2023 remuneration order for all lawyers in Nigeria. That order has stipulated what I should charge my clients in a free market economy. Except a few of us who engage in pro bono work. Even then, it must be recorded by them. So these are the same guys who are coming out to say, how can you enforce this? But when the same system gives duty waivers to the rich, that can be enforced. When the same system gives tax relief to the rich, that can be enforced. But when it comes to the poor, and what we are saying here, Sheung, is that majority of these goods are imported from abroad. Some members of the business community, you call them captains of industry, are giving duty waivers in 5 years under the last 5 years under the Buhari administration. The duty waivers given to certain companies and individuals total 16 trillion naira. The point is this: if you are giving 16 trillion naira, money that should have been paid to the federation account, by the way, for the benefit of all Nigerians, so you are now given by the government. You now want to go to town and sell your products without control by the government. That would be abdication of the duty of the government. And that is why that law has been there since 1977. I didn't enact the law. This, apart from the Price Control Act, you also have the Federal Consumer Protection Commission. These two bodies are set up to regulate prices, protect consumers from unwarranted exploitation. So unless those laws are repealed, we have a duty to go to court. And that was exactly what I did. And the court has given its judgment.
Mr. Falana, so
yes.
Yeah. So let me jump in quickly. You were recorded to have there's an inference being drawn to your comment as to asking citizens to rise up in some kind of social revolution on the policies of the government of the day in terms of what has become a worrying situation in the price of commodities. Is that exactly what you are asking the Nigerian citizens to do as a response to what is going on in the land? A social revolution. Is that what you are saying?
Now, in I think Niger State, there was a protest. Of course, there have been protests in many parts of the country without my knowledge. And the governor ordered the arrest of the protesters. The APC secretariat has issued a statement to the effect that the protests against the rising cost of living in our country are sponsored by some opposition or named opposition political parties. And all I've said is that it is the duty of Nigerians, it is the right of Nigerians to express themselves either through protest or writing articles or whatever. We fought against obtaining police permit to protest in Nigeria. What the law now says, Section 84 of Section 3 of the Police Establishment Act of 2020 is that during protest, the police shall provide security for the participants in such protests.
BGI TV yìí mo fẹ́ máa wò, ọ̀rọ̀ tó jẹ tí ń gbèsè mo fẹ́ gbọ́, ètò lóríṣiríṣi wọ́n wà lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan, ìròyìn tó kojú òṣùwọ̀n àtàwọn ọ̀rọ̀ àgbọ́ fi kọ́gbọ́n, eré wọlé fún tẹ̀rù tọmọ tèwe tàgbà ẹ má fi para. BGI TV mo fẹ́ máa wò, ọ̀rọ̀ tó jẹ tí ń gbèsè mo fẹ́ gbọ́, ètò lóríṣiríṣi wọ́n wà lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan, ìròyìn tó kojú òṣùwọ̀n àtàwọn ọ̀rọ̀ àgbọ́ fi kọ́gbọ́n, eré wọlé fún tẹ̀rù tọmọ tèwe tàgbà ẹ má fi para. Àjànàkú kọjá mórí nǹkan fèrè, bàbá rere káwí parí. BGI TV, we are the pace setter. Bàbá gbàgede ìmọ̀ tẹlifíṣọ̀n station tí dòde.